Hello and welcome to the Leeds Up Podcast. I'm James and I'm with Rocco Dean.
Hello.
No Dara Cunningham today, so let's watch this all go to pot, shall we? Well, we thought we'd go over the retained list, bit of transfer market talk, summer priorities, what Leeds United going to do, Ethan Ampadu and all the social media storm. Was it a storm? Yeah. And
Storm in a teacup.
Yeah, a little tiny teacup, a thimble. Jack Harrison's future, and anything else we might want to go over. Special thanks to Bass & Bly, sponsors of the podcast. Bass & Bly have been going for over 60 years. Rocco points out since the Don Revie era. I said Revie last time. It's Revie.
Yep. Don't make that mistake. Rob Endicott will be all over you.
He will be. That's every time I say it, I think of Rob Endicott and that interview. So go back and listen to it, anyone. Bass & Bly sell the very best in binoculars, spotting scopes, and of course, photographic equipment. They sell Leica, Swarovski, Zeiss. They sell Panasonic, Sony, Pentax, Nikon, Canon. They sell loads of used lenses, used cameras. You can buy all sorts from them. If you're just getting into your photography period, people getting into holiday season, going into summer, go see Bass & Bly. You can get some cracking deals on used stuff. Where you'll get a discount. Well, you can get a discount if you go on the website. There's a little pop-up, enter your email address, you'll get that. But you will get a warranty on any purchase as well, because everything is tested to the max.
6 Buller Street in Harrogate, and astronomical stuff as well.
Oh, yeah.
Take advantage of the nice clear skies that we've got at the moment to
Stargaze.
Stars.
Yeah.
Stargaze.
Lovely stuff. Right, well, www.bassandbly.com. There we go, before we go. So, over 13 players are leaving Leeds on the retained. 13 superstars. Obviously, the most senior departure is Joshua Gilavugi, whose contract expired. I keep thinking about him. I thought about him a lot this morning. You know, and people say what a big deal he's had on the dressing room, and which becomes almost just the thing that's said in passing, but it really is like a big deal. And you think how much he was amongst the celebrations when the team scored, you know, whether it was the side of the pitch earlier in the season or whether it was at the end of the season when we finally won the trophy, and everyone always spoke so highly of him. But there's so many players that come into a team that are just quite passive of it, and they'll just train to play for the club and don't really say anything about it, and they just disappear when the contract ends. But it felt a lot different with him, and he was actively involved in everything. And clearly from all the messages signed on his shirt, which people might have seen on social media from players, the other players signing his shirt, everyone thought a lot of him.
Yeah, he was a happy accident, wasn't he?
It was.
We would have never gone near him. But yeah, thank God we did, because clearly he had a very strong impact. And yeah, you think about the squad and last season's squad as well. You know, there's no real experience in there. Obviously, Bamford has been promoted before, yeah. and Melier. Byram, you know, is an experienced player, but, you know, they're thin on the ground. So to have someone like that that's been there and done it in Europe, you know, various top-level matches in his career, yeah, it must have been invaluable. And yeah, he's clearly a very infectious character. So yeah, probably in terms of like his ratio of minutes played to fondness, he must be right up there with the best.
Yeah, I would say so. I found it quite interesting that he put a statement on LinkedIn that I stumbled across. You don't see many players like putting things on LinkedIn, do you? It's like, is he's going into that next period of his life, isn't he, where he's probably going to do coaching or talking within sport. So yeah, good luck to him. What a man, what a gentleman.
He'll be on LUTV, won't he, in a few years?
Yeah, no doubt. And obviously the return of our loanees, Manor Solomon and Joe Rothwell, to their clubs. I like like when they talk about the return of them to their clubs, as though they've just been like packaged up and sent back. But yeah, Solomon's obviously one that's been talked about quite a lot amongst the fan base. A lot of people are very quick. Well, actually, we'll come back to Solomon because I think we'll probably talk about him in more detail. But yeah, Joe Rothwell, brilliant season. Dara talked about him a lot in the last episode, and we've talked about him a lot this season, how important he's been. Dara's keen for him to sign permanently. What about you? We'll be 2 midfielders down now, so we need to get someone in there, don't we?
It's a tough one, isn't it? It's an overall, yeah, you'd have to have a look at the overall picture and how much we've got to spend. Because I think we're going to have to make some, pretty difficult decisions. I mean, Rothwell's I imagine is going to be a cheap option, and he has been brilliant. You know, he's been absolutely superb. And the 4 midfielders that we've got, they all complement each other well, but you think it's an area of the pitch where we would surely have to improve. But then again, it's one of our strongest areas of the pitch, so maybe we do just go with what we've got and strengthen in the other areas. It's a real tough one. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it is a difficult one because, well, it actually ties into the other point as well, isn't it? That we're obviously trying to get Firpo into another deal. It sounds like, and Byram's in consideration for contract negotiations as well at the moment. And actually, you've got a problem there when all of a sudden you've got 4 players that are going to go missing, and where they're going to come from. Are they going to be, like you say, depending on funds available? Are there going to be some quality loanees that come in? Or are we going to have to buy someone, and you got to hope that the loanees come in and do a job as well. So it's a really tricky situation for us. I think you said this before, Rocco, when we signed. I can't remember what it was. It was another transfer window. That's helpful, isn't it? There's been loads of them, but if Firpo goes, it's going to cost us a lot to get someone in. You're talking about £15 million replacement and then salary on top. So is it worth you signing maybe over the odds on a contract? I know that's daft to sort of almost throw money away, but it's going to cost us a lot more if we try and get someone new and fresh into the team.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think, I was of the opinion that going into the Premier League, we don't need as big a squad as we had anyway. Obviously, there's a lot less games. We're basically just playing once a week all season. The cup competitions, I wouldn't even really count. It could come into play, but
look at Palace. Come on, Rocco.
Doesn't.
Palace are in Europe.
I know. I don't like saying it, but it's the reality. But then, when I was talking to John Newsom about a future project of mine, he mentioned that something really important that promoted teams need is that strength in depth. And it's something, he mentioned about Bielsa's second season when the players got injured. What did we have on the bench? We had absolutely nothing. If you go back and look at that season, and people often post lineups that we had under Bielsa, and they're horrific. And worse than that is the bench that we used to have. I mean, there were a bench of kids that had never even played in the Premier League and never did since in most cases. So that obviously was a serious problem then. So yeah, I think you probably do need to go in there with as strong a squad as you can. But again, it's just about how you spread the money. What do you want to do? Because by having a stronger squad, you are weakening the strength of your first 11, really, if that's how you're spreading the money around.
Yeah, it is a big challenge, and obviously Manor Solomon is one that's been talked about a lot. I think we're in various groups, aren't we? And online on Twitter and everywhere, people sort of say, "Oh, I don't know, I'd go in for someone else." But actually, if the ballpark figure of 15 to 20 million is right, reportedly, I think it's probably worth it. When you think what we paid for Harrison, and you think what we paid for Helder Costa at the time. Manor Solomon is quality, and I think most people are saying it could potentially be a good signing for us, and I think it's because a lot more people are way more reasoned than the first time we went into the Premier League under Bielsa, and they know that actually we're not going to just spend 25-30 million on wingers, and it's too much of a risk for us at our level, and I think we just need those players that just take us up a layer, not right the way to the top. I think that was always the thing with the Orta, which saying his name will make Dara cringe as well. But with Victor Orta, it was a case of really gambling on players and hoping it pays off. Christensen, Koch, and all those. It just never really did. Whereas I think we just need some players. Everyone keeps talking about proven Premier League players, and what does that mean? But I think just players that just can take us up that little bit. And I think Manor Solomon is definitely one of those.
I think he's a snip. Yeah, I think 15, 16 million is great value for a player of his calibre, his age. I would do it in a heartbeat, and I'm sure Leeds would as well. I think the issue is whether he will come here basically and stay, or whether he goes and plays, Champions League or Europa League in a foreign country. Or other Premier League teams probably looking at him again because he's a top class player. So for me, I would be stunned if Leeds aren't trying to do the deal for that price.
Yeah, and I suppose it all comes down to Daniel Levy, which is what his agent said today as well. In that I think De Zerbi, is it, the manager at Marseille, used to be Brighton's manager, has basically said that it's not going to happen. Solomon going to Marseille, and his agent said that Premier League would be his preference, but then it just comes down to what Tottenham want to do. Could happen, might happen. I'd be very pleased if it did. I think it'd be a great signing for us, and it also makes a decision. A decision needs to happen around Jack Harrison, who's potentially coming back as well. What happens with Jack?
I know. I hope he doesn't come back.
Have you ever watched film Hook? You don't watch films, do you?
I have actually.
You've seen Hook. Well, there's a scene in it.
Unless you're talking about a remake. No. I've seen it about 30 years ago.
There's a scene in it where the pirate's trying to encourage his son, Jack, to get a home run. And they put the sign the wrong way around. They say, "Run home, Jack." That's what we need him to do. That's what we need him to do. Just get a sign out saying, "Run home, Jack. Run home, Jack." Anyway.
Yeah, I like that. I can get that reference. It's great. Foreign feeling for me. Yeah, I think if Harrison does run home to Leeds, if that is home, I think there's going to be a lot of noise, shall we say, on Twitter. But then everyone will ultimately accept it because Farke would want us to. Again, it's a funny one. You know, if we don't get Solomon, we're going to have to go out and spend more than 15 million on a winger. You would expect. We've already got Gnonto and James, who are decent starting wingers in the Premier League, I would imagine. Then you've got Ramazani as well. So Jack Harrison as number 4, you know, taking out all the history, you know, pretty decent. 4 decent wingers there for no money whatsoever that you can plough into other areas.
Run home, Jack. His home is actually America, isn't it? Basically, that's where he likes being. MLS days. I wouldn't be surprised.
He'll go to Miami.
It wouldn't surprise me if he does go out there.
What would you think? Do you want him?
No, not really. Not because I don't like him or anything, but I always just go back to that season we had in the Championship with him, and it did obviously happen in the Premier League as well. He had some great moments, like the Newcastle goal at home was brilliant, and I think he did some great things for us and helped us to get up there. Even the goal against Liverpool, first game back in the Premier League as well, was amazing. But there's just always been that thing of lacking that final decision, and I think someone like Solomon, you can just see it already. It's just all there, and like you say, there's enough there that's up and coming to kind of back up those positions. So, yeah, if I'm being brutally honest,
I don't even know if he's a Farke type winger, because he's so out and out winger, isn't he? Like, he can't cut in on his right and bend it into the far corner. And when he did play on the right wing, it never really suited him. You know, he is head down, get to the line and put it in. Although it was never that simple. He always seemed to go down the blind alleys and not decide what to do. I'd rather just get Solomon and get rid of Harrison. And I think that's what Harrison wants. I know I hate reading into the politics around what people do on social media, but the fact that, you know, he has completely ignored Leeds, it obviously suggests that he sees his future elsewhere. So let's hope that happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is all just speculation, isn't it? At this point, we're just talking about what everyone else is talking about, and no one really knows until it happens, particularly with the 49ers, because I think they keep their cards pretty close to their chest. There's some things that you know are inferred because we've had them as loanees, or there's rumblings that people might be leaving, like Jack Harrison, which is obvious because he's been out on loan. So, but I think one of the ones that's been talked about particularly all season is a goalkeeper. And probably is going to be key for our success, how is subjective how you view that in the Premier League. But I think a few people think Darlow can do the job, which I think he probably could, but there's a lot of people crying out for a new goalkeeper as well. And Liverpool's Kelleher was talked about, but obviously I think there's some high caliber teams in there. Emi Martinez is going from Aston Villa, isn't he? So I think it probably puts someone like him in pole position to go to Villa. Yeah, what are your thoughts on keeper situation?
I think we definitely need top quality keeper if we can get one. I think that would be one of my
Aaron Ramsdale. Is that what you're
signings.
Thinking?
Oh God, no, I'm not. I'm thinking some guy I've never heard of that is just amazing, because I can't think of anyone that we could actually sign that's good. Just see keepers, and I just think they're all useless. Anana is the obvious one. He's just so bad. I don't know. Yeah, it needs to be someone I've never heard of that's just solid. I mean, look at Darlow. He's surprised us. So there must be good keepers out there.
Well,
hopefully better than Darlow. But we can't go in with Meslier. Not after what happened last time.
Look at Martinez at Villa. You know, before his Argentine success, he's properly peaked, and that's, you know, I think Eddie Gray obviously mentioned this on the Don't Go to Bed Just Yet podcast, the live one they did, where he thinks Meslier can come good in the next few years. And you know, when we look back at all the goalkeepers that we had, Nigel Martin in our period as kids was amazing and peaked well into his late 20s, early 30s. And yeah, Emi Martinez has done the same, really. So it's that as well. Do we go for someone who's got more experience and rather than a young one, which Darlow's got, which I think is why he probably came in as well.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? Like, I do agree with Eddie. You know, I've said it like for ages until January, basically. You know, I think Meslier has got everything to be a top class keeper.
Yeah.
And if he leaves Leeds, I'm pretty confident that wherever he goes, he'll excel and he'll do really well. But I just can't see him doing well at Leeds anymore. I just can't. I think the pressure's too much. I think he needs a change of scenery as much as anything else, much like what people said about Bamford for a few years. Just feel like Meslier has to go for the benefit of everybody now. I can't face him starting in goal and perpetual worry that, you know, what's going to happen the first time he puts a foot wrong. Yeah, we just need a fresh start in goal, surely.
Yeah, we're gonna concede goals, a lot of goals, I think, aren't we? You know, it's just the nature of where we are, and like you say, the pressure from fans piles on someone like Meslier, and he must pile the pressure onto himself as well. So it's probably a clean slate for him as well. And like you say, Real Betis talks aren't going away around Mateo Joseph, are they? I think. Do we reject a bid for 10 million? And sounds like they're possibly coming back in for him, and maybe that's what, you know. It's hard to, we don't know, do we? Everyone's speculating as always, but it's hard to know whether that's why he sort of seemed to just switch off mid-season, or whether actually, you know, when I was looking back at the highlights of the season, was part of it because he was just miffed at that he was starting a lot of games, and then Piru was coming on and scoring, and then Piru just basically got back into the team, didn't he, and nudged him out, and whether he just spat his dummy out. It's hard to know whether it's that or whether it is a transfer situation, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And loss of confidence. Yeah, it's a hit, isn't it? Ego and all that. You know, it's the season went really badly for him. It's a funny one. Again, another player that I could see coming good. Like, would you be at all surprised if he went to Betis and like they're going to be in the Europa League? Yeah, I think he probably will. But again, like, I don't think we can carry a player like that in the squad next season. You know, we've already got Piru, and Piru won't go anywhere. We'll still have Piru. Bamford, are we going to be able to get rid of him? But surely we need like the goalkeeper and the striker are the two positions for me where I would be putting most of our money. If it's possible to get two players that we know we can rely on, I think that's what I would do. And so you can't carry Joseph as a third or fourth choice striker, and similar to Bamford, you know, but I just can't see anyone coming in for Bamford and taking those wages. Because you would think his wages will go back up to what they were before in the Premier League.
There must be some sort of pre-agreement, that makes him, like you say, go back up to that. And at that time, he's one of the highest paid players, wasn't he? So it's a lot of money. Because I think a few people were saying that, he's not going to go and wants to kind of see it out at Leeds. Like, I don't blame him. He's going to be on shitloads of money, and then he'll be out of contract and can get a decent wage when he moves on somewhere else as well. So that's football, isn't it?
Yeah. What would you do? What would you feel like if they started the season with Peru?
I feel comfortable with that, but I think we just need some more numbers of a decent level across, in 4 or 5 positions. Everyone's talked about the spine, which I agree, because we have this whole thing of when we get an injury, Ethan Ampadu, like in defence, Ethan Ampadu has to drop back. So are we then relying too much on someone like Ilya Gruev to step up and it worked with Tanaka? So it feels like that whole centrepiece, we need players, and trying to retain some of what we had last year in Solomon as well. So I think it's a massive, massive summer for us. And I wouldn't be surprised if Joseph left, probably because for PSR reasons, I guess it goes a straight profit as well to reinvest back in the team. So, and if it's 10 million, like you say, it's not the sort of person that we can carry right now because we need someone in the team to help strengthen us to stay in the division. And this is where I think what I was talking about earlier, where fans' mindset has completely shifted. Whereas before we'd be like, no, we need to keep them all. We want the young stars of tomorrow, but we're just not there. We're just, I think in 5 years' time we could probably afford to keep someone like Joseph and send him out on loan into the Championship or abroad or whatever to get the experience. But it's just not the position we're in.
No, even if we were in the Championship next season, like we'd still have a conundrum here. Like, what do you do with him? Because he was so bad, and the fact that we're stepping up into the Premier League, he's going to be up against Premier League defences. I mean, it's pretty ludicrous to have to rely on him at all. Really, sadly.
Yeah, that's it. Do we want to talk about this? Kind of do. Well, first of all, Rio Ferdinand put a video out about cheering on Galatasaray, which obviously riled all the Leeds fans, which, is the nature of that. It's a very sensitive topic, and it's the history of all that with Galatasaray and those particular fans and our fans that were murdered, and Christopher Loftus and Kevin Spate. It's just, I hate even thinking about it. I hate talking about it because it's just a horrible period of time. And for anyone who lived through it knows how it feels. And anyone who's lived through similar other clubs knows how it feels as well. But off the back of that, what happened was obviously some photo was put out by some relative of Ethan Ampadu, and then everyone jumped on it, which is obviously just feels like they've got some issue going on in their family. It's a complicated situation because there's been a separation. The club have had to put a statement out. The club have put a statement out because of all the noise around Rio Ferdinand, basically, and then there potentially been a backlash for Ethan Ampadu. It's all just nonsense for me. It's like, that's a private life thing. Let them get on with it. But equally, if someone is going to wear their dirty laundry out in public, then what do you do?
Yeah, no, the whole situation, it's just a sad state of affairs, really. I hate the fact that, we get subjected to everything that we do online. Why should we be seeing pictures of Ampadu's like son on holiday or whatever? Like, anyway, and yeah, those pictures have been posted. Whether she's just stupid or vindictive or whatever, we don't know. You'd expect that she would have been warned. If she's a Turk with a family of Galatasaray fans, it's unfathomable to think that she wasn't aware. She must have been placed on high alert, about this situation. You can't be aggravating the Leeds fans. It's just, it just cuts far too deep. And so she's done that. For me, it's absolutely nothing to do with Ampadu. Yeah, the fact that his son, has been born into half a Galatasaray family, it is what it is. And similar with Ferdinand, like to make a whole big story of it, guy's just an idiot. I see that
Basically,
and I think you're a scumbag. And then I scroll on, like, I don't know why it has to become a whole massive story. So yeah, it's sad. It's sad.
This is the thing for me. It's always been the same in my mind. The people that you dislike in the public eye, which might be we're not in the public eye, but if someone dislikes us, they will just scroll past us, and apathy is sort of the worst thing, isn't it? Because if you don't engage positive or negative, they just sort of disappear. So if there's something you don't like, just ignore it. That is the best thing I could recommend to anyone, is how I feel. And then here we are talking about it and addressing it. What we should have done is just ignored the whole thing.
I know. The other thing I would say, actually, to be fair, is I don't think that Ferdinand was doing that to wind Leeds fans up at all. I just think he's
just an idiot. Like you said, it just doesn't even cross his mind. And I think this is where I think some people are way more empathic to football fan bases and properly understand a club when they go in. And to some people, it's a business, and they hear the sports side, and they talk to agents and club directors within a club. So they just lose what the actual sentiment of what people actually feel is, and it's just a sport. They're athletes. These are clubs, franchises, and all that stuff, and they just forget. They just don't even think about it. But to us, it's like everything, and it's really important.
I wanted to mention George, my Leeds supporting friend who lives in London near Brentford, and he takes his son to Brentford. So he's sees them. Not week in, week out, but sees a lot of them. And I asked him, do you think Brentford are a lot better than Leeds? And his answer was basically that they've got 4 quality players, and that makes a difference. They've got 4 good players, I think Wisser, Norgard and Buomo. And they said they've got like quite a solid keeper. And they're organised and they're committed. and they're good at set pieces, and that has got them into the top half of the Premier League, and that fills me with a lot of confidence, really.
Yeah.
And you see teams like Fulham as well that have done it, obviously Forest. I'm feeling all right. I'm feeling quite excited, you know. I think that Leeds will buck the trend. Because the other thing, you look at the teams that got relegated, and have you seen Leicester's team? It is just appalling. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's worse than last season. They lost their manager as well. Ipswich, 2 promotions in a row. Southampton, were already bad. They've all been horrendous. Like Leeds, the squad is so much better than those 3 teams. I think we can give it a good go. I really do.
Yeah, and Leicester were marred by, this is the whole gamble of the Premier League, isn't it? And getting your finances right, because I think they're going to get a point deduction, aren't they, potentially? So the rumour mill says. And if you don't get it right, you have to sell, and then you can't replace with the quality that you need. So I don't know, we talk about between ourselves in the WhatsApp group, just sod PSR and just sign who you want. But I think you have to. You got to be sensible. But I completely think you're right, and that's why I talk about that spine. I think if we can get that right, those 4 or 5 players centrally, and you've got some decent wingers as well, and some decent left backs and right backs, the whole squad, then we'll be fine. but I do think, George is completely right, and I think that is the thing to help stabilise us, to then get some revenue into the club, build it, and then start to kick on to the next level. And look at Nottingham Forest and Villa. I remember a few years ago when Leeds were talking about wanting to get into Europe, and obviously Villa were at the same time saying our ambition is to get into Europe, and they've done it, and the difference is marginal. At times they nearly dropped out of it as well, and Forest nearly dropped out of it, but then they've managed to do it and kick on.
Yeah, it can be done. Just got to be shrewd and ambitious, and I think they probably are.
Right, well, before we go, Rocco, what is the hoodie you're wearing? I mean, I know, but I'm just teeing you up for listeners.
Yeah,
and viewers.
It's the Leeds Creators Cup hoodie, which is official merchandise for our upcoming charity match on July the 20th at the South Leeds Stadium.
Yep, let's say that.
Yeah,
I think it's around that date, 19th.
Yeah, sounds right. It's the day after the Scum friendly.
Oh, that's the 20th. Sorry, that's the 19th. So yeah, it is the 20th. That's why I'm getting my dates mixed up.
Nice.
All right, well, we've made the right bodge of that,
The big one's on the 20th. Yeah, which will be a great occasion. And I am 13 days dry of alcohol on my quest to be Bielsa fit for that match. Right. How about you, James?
Oh, yeah. I've just come back from a long weekend away. Didn't touch alcohol, Rocco. So, I'm well on the way. It's just the whole fitness thing is the other issue. You ran a 10K at the weekend. I probably didn't even think about 10K. So, well, I didn't.
No, you'll be all right. You've got about 80 days?
Something like that. But it's going to be really good, raising money for decent charity. Loads of Leeds United content creators are going to be there. It's going to be at, what's the stadium called?
South Leeds Stadium.
South Leeds Stadium.
Is it John Charles as well?
We're making it right there somewhere. We're making a right hash of this, aren't we? But yeah, look for the Leeds Content Creators Cup on Google, and you'll be able to buy tickets. You can go there and watch it on the day, and there is also going to be a live stream of it on YouTube. So look out for that. But yeah, Joe Wyman, our captain, and what a good man he is, and really looking forward to that. Got some training sessions to get in before then as well, haven't we?
We do. Yeah, looking forward to that.
Good stuff. Well, we'll keep you posted in the run up to that anyway, and there is some merch and tickets available online. We'll put some links in the description below. And on that, anyone who's listened or watched on YouTube, please like, subscribe, follow, and all that stuff. I'll get told off if I don't say it. So, we really appreciate all the comments and feedback as always. But we'll be back again. If not later this week, hopefully we'll be back next week for the usual weekly podcast. But take care, everyone. Have a good week. Cheers.